It's not just me. Shelby's on his way.
Talk about an awkward laugh. Like, oh, yeah. Speaking of awkward laughs.
Speaking of awkward laughs, welcome everybody.
Welcome
it
back.
has been a bit since we have talked to you.
What's going on? This is the Stokes Auction Group podcast, nonprofit network. We talk fundraising events and what's going on in the ether.
Yeah.
As well as what's trending in society right now.
Right, and we're going to talk about something fun today.
Yeah, we are.
It's going to be a quickie.
Is it going to be fun? Because I think it's what's going on in the world right
fun.
now. So, I want to discuss politics at event auction, at fundraising events.
Woo!
Let's get awkward. So, I recently traveled to do a show, and it was a part of the country that is very right-leaning. Mm-hmm. And let's just say there was no hesitation on people throwing out their political opinions.
Let's just say there were no blue skies.
Well, there were no blue skies.
The
No,
skies
it
were
was
red.
very red. And then the next day, not the next day, but like the next week, I then go up to a local board meeting for a nonprofit local in Seattle. Turns out the tailwinds have blown the entirely different direction.
The sky is completely blue.
And boy, like I don't know that I stuck my foot in my mouth, but I was on the line. So essentially,
Oh, you did?
Well, kinda. Yeah.
Oh,
it
you
was
didn't tell me
real-
that.
Well,
you didn't tell me that. That's why we're doing. Okay.
So I feel like I
Please
kind of
share,
stuck my foot in my
Shelby.
mouth. So essentially what I said is, hey, I was just in this other part of the country where things were very political and everyone was talking about it. And I would prefer not to talk politics, and I haven't made a decision, or the exact words I said. Well, things got real quiet and awkward following
They
that.
were not happy
So
with
they
you.
were not. So I didn't say anything offensive, but I still became an enemy because it wasn't in their
Definitive.
political. Yes, exactly.
And you still aren't sure probably who they are. Well, you know
I'm pretty confident.
blue.
I picked it up after I said it,
Yeah.
but I guess like my point is like there's no easy way to go here.
No.
Like so the best option is just to avoid it like you can. Like,
Okay,
to the
but then
best
we
of
need
your
to give
ability.
people the skill on
Okay.
how to avoid that.
Let's do that. Don't talk politics.
Don't talk politics.
Don't talk politics.
Your personal views that you carry when you are in a ballroom and you are a hired organization,
Yep.
right? Your personal views that you carry with you should stay exactly there with you. They should not come out of your mouth,
Yeah.
period. You don't know what room you're going to be in, whether you agree or disagree. They are paying you to be there to get all the funds that you can for their organization.
Yeah.
Now, you also need to read your room and understand that if you're in a higher Republican room, what that giving is going to be like. If you're in a higher Democratic room, what that giving is going to be like. And ride those waves, but
Yep.
you have no place giving your opinions.
And it's also going to inform the way you present items and also the way you communicate with people.
Exactly.
Right? Once you kind of get the vibe of which way people are leaning, I would not touch any subjects in that camp whatsoever that are hot button issues.
Yep.
And there's quite a few of them in this election cycle. And why are we talking about this now? Because it's September and we have an election in 2 months and everybody's talking about it.
And
it's
every ballroom that we're walking into is like that.
everyone. Okay, it's not
Ours
just me.
was, no,
I thought it
every
was just me.
single ballroom that we are walking
So-
into right now.
So, okay, I've told you to avoid politics, right? And I should be able to do that based on the amount of times I've been in this situation. The reason it popped up in this most recent meeting for me is because they have an item that was given to them by a president. Mm-hmm. And they were afraid that if we were going to present this item in the live auction, things were going to get political.
Okay.
Right? Because it was Clinton. Clinton had given this guy a jacket. Here you go, right? And I basically said we want to stay away from politics. So double down on the history of the item. The fact that this was given to you by a sitting president
That's exactly the route.
is how you need to present that. Not politics, not like anything in regards to how that term affected anybody, but the fact that this is a historical piece of our nation's history that you can then present in that manner. The person presenting the object, I'm going to have them up there and speak about it. I'm a little bit hesitant about that,
Sure.
only because I don't want them to like springboard into a political agenda.
But again, it's not your auction. You
not
are
my
strictly
auction.
hired to
Yeah, and then on the other side of it, we also have elected officials in the room. So like you're really in a little bit of a hotbed.
Sure.
And like it really feels like every 4 years we get into this like fall season where things are hyper focused on politics, and it's darn near impossible to avoid. The other 3.5 years out of a cycle, you're okay. But right now, avoid it like nobody's business, and don't bring it up, and don't lead with anything political. I can't tell you, there's a few auctioneers that I've worked with that have led with their political opinion, and oh, did you hear so and so really messed up? And I'm just thinking to
Big
myself,
mistake. Huge.
what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking?
And do remember that in every room, even if it is a majority, let's just say red,
Yep.
right? It's a majority Republican room. What if in that same room, your number one donor doesn't want everybody else to know their political views, but they are Democrat?
Yeah.
What if? And that is not a far-fetched situation.
No, it is not.
Because a smart person isn't going to tell anybody what their political stance
No.
is, right? That's our own personal view. That's our own personal opinion. We have our own reasons why we support whichever party we support, whichever president we support. But what we need to remember is that that room is full of people.
Right. Yeah.
And you never know who you're talking to.
You never know who you're talking to.
You never know who your main donors are.
Well, and you think about what we do, right? If you are raising money at an event, that is a high optic opportunity for a lot of politicians. So inevitably, you're going to have people come in to these ballrooms and either be there to support, bid on items, sometimes speak. We've been into many rooms where they want us to thank representatives for being in the room that
Yep.
night. And the more that you can stay away from any conflict in that zone, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's quite easy not to share your political views.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. You don't, you know what, I don't, it's private to me, and I don't really discuss my views.
Yeah.
They have no way of knowing if you support or don't support their view. And really, people sometimes are looking for other people to support their view. And I'm not sure why that is, but.
And I think it's super divisive right now. Like you're one camp or the other, which is where I potentially got in trouble this
Yeah.
last week. Is like I just said, hey, I haven't chosen a camp, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I really think that you got to stay away from that issue altogether if it's at all possible. Now, there's going to be some time. The other thing that I want to posit here is that with the election cycle going on, it is on the top of everyone's brain and in front of us all the time. Therefore, you talking about the news or what happened this morning on television
Not a good idea.
can also be run into a completely wrong direction that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
So I know it's like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, but stay away from current topics that are any leaning whatsoever. Like if it's science, cool. If it's politics, heck no. If it's something that's politically charged, stay away. But beyond that, like just cross your T's, dot your I's, mind your P's and Q's.
And remember, we're hired.
Because-
We're hired.
We are.
We're not invited. We're
Yeah.
hired. So
For sure.
it's good to remember that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I do know it's difficult to not want to lean into these people that you're making a connection with, whether you
Yep.
agree with their view or not.
Yeah.
You know, you want to show them that you know, no.
Yeah.
And you know, some people don't know what to do with, oh, you know what, I don't discuss politics. I find that not to be a very
Yep. I think
professional
so.
way to handle myself.
Well,
So
I mean, see, and I wouldn't even go there because essentially what's happening there is you're saying is you are structuring a divide. I don't talk politics. Well, if they're talking politics, all of a sudden you're like.
but you can say
kind
you
of
don't talk
injecting.
about your personal politics.
That's true. That is true. That would be a tactic.
Personal politics.
I can tell you what I'm guilty of. I keep putting quarters in people. Like I am so interested in people and how they tick, and you know that I like love the politics as well. I love watching the marketing teams try to spin up their different narratives. I love it. So what I'm like doing at times is I'm like, okay, well, what do you think? And
Yeah.
then before you know it, you're way down the rabbit hole, and this person's like going off, and then you have to be like, okay, well, I need to refresh my drink. Like
Yeah.
I pulled that a few times.
What
at
I
a
always
couple
think
of
is hilarious
opportunities.
is people that think they know my views
Yeah.
by
yeah.
either the way I live or something I like or dislike, and they are convinced that they know my views. And I just let them think they know,
Yeah.
because nobody knows my views
Yeah.
except my husband.
What I will
And-
say is like everyone has their own opinion, and everyone in those environments, we're trying to allow people to be comfortable giving money, and that is a delicate dance to dance.
It is.
So
It
welcome
is.
to the show.
Yeah,
baby.
and you know
Yeah.
what? I thought that maybe the giving, so we just did one
Yeah.
that I thought, it's the first time they'd been together since
Oh.
19.
Oh geez.
And I was under the impression that this is gonna be one of those ones, because you remember when we came out of the pandemic, boom, they were throwing money at us, because
I
they were
do.
just, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Totally opposite thing happened. And so I would go into every event this year not being surprised about anything that happens.
Yes.
Because those that you don't think are going to give are going to give. Those that you think will give aren't going to give. You don't know where everybody's financial positions are. You don't know anything right now. We are really shaking it and throwing the dice when we're walking into a room right now. So protect yourself and protect the people that hired you.
So the only thing I want to back you down on a little bit is the fact that there are many boards that are having the conversation about like, oh, well, depending on how the election goes is going to dictate how giving goes. And I'm finding like in some of these rooms, as long
I
as
don't
you
think
make
it
the
is.
ask, the dollars come.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Boy, I didn't see that this weekend. Woo! Look!
well, you know what? Trying to bring back an event after that long though can be hard, right? Because if they were giving in 19, they took a break and now they're back in 2024, your entire donorship has completely either switched platforms or they no longer value the gala, because if they valued it, it would have been there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Be
Good
careful.
Good stuff. Be careful. Do well.
Yeah.
And don't forget to vote, but don't tell anybody you voted.
Yeah. Or
wait.
don't tell anybody who
Wait,
you voted
Don't
for.
tell anybody who you voted for.
Vote. You can tell people you voted. Don't tell them who you
Yeah.
voted for.
Do I get a sticker if I vote?
Just don't save yourself. You can do it out in your own personal life, but not in the ballroom.
Don't do it in the ballroom. Done that. Okay, I'm
luck.
gonna turn this camera off. You be well. Hey Kelly, could you stall when we leave?
I can stall, absolutely. We will send you a button that says, "We love Stokes Auction Group."
Have a good night. We're out.